It is springtime at Resurrection Land Cruisers, and that means lots of activity because cool events are coming up where we get to use these cars outside. And today we're going to feature this Pollux Orange FJ40 that's behind me in an episode that I think I'm going to call the 90%er. Okay, so the 90%er, what does that mean? Well, first of all, it's only like 95% assembled. As you can see, some of the bright work on the hood is missing, and there's no mirrors, and there's some other things that are not on it yet. And it's only 90% clean. There's dust, and it's not actually ready to put on camera, but we're doing it anyway because it fits the theme of the episode, because this rig is one that we really only restored about 90% of. The reason that that's the case with this Land Cruiser is we did the engine conversion for this client, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and he's been using it. And he was a good Land Cruiser owner, and he wants to take care of his rig, so he sent it to us for the restoration, but did not want us to cosmetically redo the drivetrain because it's still pretty new, and did not want us to replace a handful of things that he either did personally or that he had done to it in the town where he lives, because, well, some of that would have been waste, right? Redoing basically new things amounts to waste. So even though it's tough for us, we agreed to do that, mainly because we really like this client. He's loyal, dedicated, a good communicator, fan of the business, and that's the kind of people that we want to help out. It does not go without its frustrations, however, and it's really difficult to do. The guys in the shop are not fans, and so I'm going to try my best to explain why, but then we'll go out and talk to them. But first, let's talk about the good stuff. First of all, this is the first Pollux Orange FJ40 that we've ever restored. We've always wanted to do one. It's really exciting to get this color on an FJ40. If you don't know about Pollux Orange, it was available, I think, in 1973 and 1974 only. This is a little bit newer than that, but it's definitely a sweet color for an FJ40, and it's gonna look awesome on the rocks in Moab. I cannot wait. Next thing that's cool, the Cummins R2.8. Like I said, the R2.8 is one of the things that we did to this rig a few years ago. This R2.8 is coupled to an H55F 5-speed transmission and a split case. And this time around, we added 3-to-1 gears. I know you've heard me say this plenty of times, but this R2.8 is cooled with our giant cooling package, including a mechanical fan, which is absolutely essential to keep these things cool if you're really using them. Also under the hood is a dual ARB compressor, because this rig has lockers front and rear. So inside this FJ40, you're going to see a lot of the things that are kind of common to our builds. Dakota digital instrumentation, factory looking dash with a retro stereo, also the vintage AC, the Gen 4 AC that we like so much, and some personal tweaks from the owner. So the guy that owns this rig is a craftsman, and he makes things primarily out of wood, but he's got high-tech equipment and tools, and so he's done some things that are actually really cool personal touches. One of them, my favorite one actually, is this switch bezel in the Tuffy console that houses all of his switches and has a cool Land Cruiser emblem built in. The other thing that the client built is this radio bezel, which is a custom one-off for the retro stereo and even says Land Cruiser on it. The seats in this FJ40 are the popular Scheelman seats, and we've had the rear jump seats covered to match. Now let's talk about what I meant when I said 90%. So this is the one that probably bothers me the most, especially on the inside. He had this headliner done at a shop, not this one, somewhere else, and they did actually a common mistake. They finished the headliner too quick. It's actually supposed to turn down this white piece of metal and tuck in behind the windshield frame, so you shouldn't see white paint right here. That in itself isn't so bad, but it's wavy, right? As you can tell, there's 3 waves in it, and that just doesn't look right to me. I want to redo it, but this is a brand new headliner, and redoing it would be probably close to $1,000. So I understand why he doesn't want us to do it, but that's one of the things that bothers me. So if you see this rig in the wild, just know that we didn't make the wavy headliner. A couple of other items that aren't typical with this build are the front and rear bumpers. The front bumper isn't one of ours, but the customer has an attachment to it because it has served him well in a couple of collisions with animals back where he lives. And the rear bumper is not ours also, although we did put our swing outs on it. The combination looks pretty good, but the design of the bumper doesn't really allow for room for the swing outs, so I'm kind of worried that they're going to make contact with the paint. Other than that, there's a handful of small things that aren't as big of a deal, but I bet you understand by now what I mean when I say that we weren't able to exercise our judgment 100% of the time on this truck. We realize that that's important. Not everybody can afford a 100%er restoration, and also people have their own opinions and they like things done a certain way, and we try to respect that. But it does bring some frustrations to the build, which you will hear from the guys in the shop. What's your favorite tool?
I do. So my favorite tool in my toolbox is my wire strippers.
Those don't look like normal wire strippers.
Well, they aren't. Your typical wire stripper is a lot more like this guy, and you got to put the wire in there and tug on the wire, and your hands go flying apart, and it's hard to work in tight places. And this little guy can reach up in the neatest little places, and you pick your wire size and you just go click, and it's done.
Grabs it, pulls it. They're all by itself.
It sure does.
And I can see, looking at this, that it even gives you, it's pretty well defined what wire size, 18 gauge, 20 gauge. That's what these guys here hardly ever do the little itty bitty wires right? Like they always grab one or two of the strands and rip the strand itself off.
Yes. If you choose the right size, it gets it perfect every time. The strips are really, really nice. It's wonderful.
So this is Klein Tools. I used to have a set. It wasn't this nice.
I've seen the same tool branded under a different name, so I don't know who's actually making it. But I've also seen similar tools that suck. Yeah. You have to get the good stuff for it to work effectively.
So this is the Klein Catapult. It says right there. Model number, I can't read that, but you probably can on the screen. No affiliation with Klein here, but if you're watching, you can send us all these because
there you go.
A cool tool.
Really enjoy it. Saves me lots of time and trouble.
So we're doing an episode and we're kind of talking a little bit about partial restorations, rigs where we just can't, for one reason or another, do everything right on them. Like most of our restorations we do every single thing, but sometimes we do projects where, we just can't do everything for one reason or another. What do you not like about that?
The hardest part is like where to stop with those. Like if you're restoring one part of it, say you're putting a top on or something, a restored top, but then you bolt it down to something that's all ugly and nasty, how far do you go with the hardware or new rubber or new gaskets, and just like where does the line end is the hardest part for me. Like, I think other than that, I don't know. I mean,
you just rattle them all off. You've ruined the entire, we just need it, we're done. And cut. Thanks for watching this episode of Promise Resurrection. Casey just finished it for us. All right, we'll go see if we can find a different answer. I bet we get a lot of the same thing. I would like to know what frustrates you guys about partial builds where we're not doing every single thing.
Too many questions. What if? Do we do this? Do we not do that?
Yep.
Where do we kind of just draw the line?
Getting everybody on the same page.
Just not being able to do it 100% too, because it's always really nice to see a project come together at 100%.
Yeah. Pars pro toto. The part is the whole.
So if we're not doing stuff that's indicative of what we can do, it's frustrating to me because I know I can make it look better, and I don't want people out there thinking I'm doing subpar work, and that's why I get frustrated.
Me too. It's like we have a target on our back, and like when you get to a certain level, people expect perfection, and then so if you go see one of our builds, especially for the first time, and it happens to be one of those ones that, we left one thing or two things for whatever reason, that's your eye, you're like a magnet.
We all of a sudden own it, right? So it's whatever's on there that's not right, it belongs to us now.
Yeah.
I don't like anybody's inferior work. We do stuff to a top-notch level around here, and anytime they start to get their fingers in it, it interferes with our top-notch level of work.
You know, I like to have a plan right from the beginning and to execute that plan so that the final product looks planned and thought out. And if we're saving some of someone else's stuff, it's not part of my plan, and so I don't like that.
Yeah, so we have many core processes here, and one of them is when something leaves, it needs to be 100%. And if we have to change things, stop things, deal with other people's work, then we feel like when it leaves, it's not 100%. So that's why I feel if you got to just stop or change things, then it's not 100% when it leaves the shop.
Nobody really said it out in the shop, but I can speak for the guys a little bit when I know that they're just used to doing things our way. We've been building FJ40s and FJ60s for a long time, and we really have it down to not only the way we like to do it, but also we just know what works. So in cases where we need to deviate from that, it can be a tough pill to swallow. So there you have it. Hopefully you understand what I mean by the 90%er. Not whining. I promise I don't want to be whining, but it is hard for us sometimes. Thanks for watching this episode of Profits Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. We really appreciate our loyal viewers, and so like and subscribe and share and do all of that stuff, and also follow us on our other social media platforms, Pro Cruiser on Instagram, Resurrection Land Cruisers on Facebook, and then there's always the good old website, resurrectionlandcruisers.com. Okay, so I told the customer that I wasn't even going to film this with this bumper on it, but we didn't want to waste time and put a different bumper on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and block it while you try to get a shot. No.
My analogy was like, why would you like go get plastic surgery on your face and then like leave a big ass mole on your face? Like that's what it seems like to me. You like do all this work and make it all perfect, but then there's like, oh, you missed a spot.
That's a good analogy. Just to be honest, that wasn't what he said the last time he told that story. It was something, but it wasn't a mole.
That was a PG.
So you're going to use your imagination. Thanks for watching.
You putting that on?
I'm not putting it on. We're calling this episode the 90%er.
Oh, just drop everything I'm doing.
It's 90%.
You got that on film, right? Awesome.
It's 90% clean. It's 90% complete, and we only restored 90% of it.
I tell Jeremiah at least 4 times a day.
Okay, that looks okay, Bob. It's all right. That's 5. That's 5.